The key was still warm when Lena pressed it into my hand. Small, brass, ordinary. The tag attached to it carried an address less than 10 minutes from the house Vanessa and I had bought together. "What does this open?" I asked. Lena glanced at the bridal suite door. An apartment. Outside, a string quartet played for 84 guests who did not yet know there would be no wedding. Vanessa's mother was searching the restrooms. My brother was checking the parking lot. My bride had been missing for 27 minutes. Her engagement ring sat inside an empty champagne glass. Whose apartment? My phone vibrated. Vanessa had sent a message to the entire wedding group. "I'm sorry, but I can't marry Ethan. For months, he has needed to know where I am, who I'm with, and why I disagree with him. Today, I finally admitted that I no longer feel safe. Please don't tell him where I am. I read it twice." "That isn't true." "I know," Lena said. It was the first time anyone had. Vanessa's father called. I reached to answer, but Lena caught my wrist. "If you take that call, you'll spend the next hour defending yourself." Maybe I should. That's what she expects. Lena turned over the tag. A date was written on the back. 6 months earlier. "She had this apartment before you booked the venue," Lena said. "How do you know?" Her fingers tightened around my wrist. "I went there this morning." Vanessa said she needed something for the reception. "What did you find?" "Something with your name on it." The music stopped. Footsteps approached the suite. Lena folded my fingers around the key. "Vanessa told me to call her 20 minutes ago. When I don't, she'll know I found it. And then she'll empty the apartment." Someone tried the handle. Lena stepped back. "You can stay and defend yourself to people already choosing what to believe," she whispered. "Or you can find out how long she's been preparing them to believe it." The handle moved again. "Ethan?" Vanessa's mother called through the door. "Her father needs to speak with you." Needs. Not wants. The distinction sounded like an order Vanessa had written for him. I slipped the key into my jacket pocket. Its edge caught the lining before dropping against my ribs. Lena crossed to the service entrance at the back of the suite. "This leads to the kitchen corridor. You planned an escape route?" "I planned a way to get Vanessa through the hotel without guests seeing her before the ceremony." The answer came too quickly. "Did she use it?" Lena's hand rested on the metal push bar. "I don't know." It was not a lie. It was also not everything. Vanessa's mother knocked harder. "Open the door." My phone filled with messages. "Are you with her?" "What happened last night?" "Ethan, tell us she's safe." Then one from my sister, Claire. "Please don't go looking for her. Give her space." I typed. I never stopped her from going anywhere. My thumb hovered over send. I could already hear how it would sound. Defensive. Precise. I deleted it. Lena watched the screen go dark. "Good. Don't congratulate me. I have no idea what I'm doing." "Neither do I." That was the first honest thing she had said without making me pull it from her. I opened the service door. The corridor smelled of coffee, hot metal, and butter. 2 servers flattened themselves against a cart as we passed. One recognized me, glanced at Lena's dress, then deliberately studied the floor. By the time we reached the loading entrance, the wedding group had split into arguments. Mark demanded facts. Vanessa's cousin told him that men always asked for facts when they wanted to avoid accountability. Someone I barely knew wrote that Vanessa's message explained a lot. It explained nothing. That was what made it powerful. Lena's gray sedan waited beside the dumpsters. A garment bag hung across the back seat. I stopped. "Is that what you brought from the apartment?" She unlocked the car but did not open the door. "No." "Then what is it?" "The dress Vanessa was supposed to leave in after the reception. The zipper was open 3 inches. Pale blue fabric showed through the gap. She told you to put it in your car?" "Yesterday. So, she expected you to drive her somewhere. She said she wanted to change before the hotel photos." "And you believed that?" Lena looked toward the hotel. Kitchen staff moved behind the narrow windows, carrying trays for a wedding that had become a crime scene without any crime anyone could name. I believed what was easiest to believe. I took my hand off the passenger door. "How long have you known about the apartment?" "Ethan, 6 months is written on the tag." "You didn't get that key this morning." Her face changed not enough to become an answer, but enough to confirm I had finally asked the right question. A black SUV turned into the loading area. Vanessa's father sat in the passenger seat. Lena opened the driver's door. "If you want the whole truth, We need to leave. Your whole truth or hers? Right now, I'm not sure there's a difference. The SUV accelerated. I got in. Lena pulled out before I had fastened my seatbelt. The hotel disappeared behind a row of delivery trucks, but my phone kept carrying the room with us. Vanessa's father called again. This time he left a voicemail. Ethan, do not make this worse. Vanessa has been clear. If you care about her at all, you will stay where you are and let us handle this. Lena tightened both hands on the wheel. He knows she's not at the hotel, I said. Probably. Does he know about the apartment? I don't think so. You keep saying things that leave room to be wrong, because I've been wrong all morning. We crossed the river beneath a sky so clean it looked staged for photographs. White ribbons still covered the hood of my car in the hotel garage. My vows were folded inside my breast pocket. I could feel the paper each time I breathed. At a red light, Lena reached toward the garment bag, then stopped before touching it. What I found had your company name on it, she said. A receipt? A credit application. The light changed. A horn sounded behind us. Lena drove on. How much? I didn't stay long enough to read everything. Was it signed? She nodded once. My company had 6 employees. Every one of them depended on me noticing what I signed. Vanessa doesn't have authority to borrow in the company's name. Then why was your signature on it? The key pressed against my chest as the car turned onto a street lined with brick apartment buildings. My phone vibrated with a new message from Vanessa. Not to the group, only to me. Please don't follow me, Ethan. If you do, everyone will finally understand what I've been trying to tell them. Lena saw the screen. She knows we left. Ahead, a dark sedan pulled away from the curb outside number 418. For 1 second, I saw pale fabric through its rear window. Then it turned the corner. Lena hit the brakes beside the entrance. I was out before the car stopped rocking. The brass key was already in my hand. The front door required a code. Lena entered 6 digits without checking her phone. I caught the glass before it closed behind her. You've been here before. She kept walking. The lobby held 6 mailboxes, a dead fern, and a security camera angled toward the entrance. No doorman, no front desk, nothing that required Vanessa to explain why she came and went. Lena, twice, this morning and when. The elevator opened. She stepped inside and pressed 4. I stayed in the lobby. For most of my life, silence had been the safest answer available to me. My father could turn a misplaced receipt into an hour-long trial. My mother survived those nights by lowering her voice, clearing the table, and telling the rest of us not to make things harder. I learned early that peace had a price. Usually, I paid it before anyone asked. Lena held the elevator door with one hand. Are you coming? I wanted to tell her she had picked the wrong moment to become impatient. Instead, I stepped inside. The doors closed. When was the other time? 5 months ago. The answer struck harder than the missing bride. Perhaps because it arrived without drama. You knew for 5 months. I knew Vanessa had rented a place. That sentence is doing a lot of work. The elevator climbed. Lena stared at the changing numbers. She told me she needed somewhere private to think. Private from me. That was what she said. And you helped her. The doors opened on the 4th floor. Lena moved into the hallway, but I did not follow immediately. Beige carpet, white walls, 4 identical doors. Somewhere nearby, a washing machine entered its spin cycle. Nothing about the place looked like an emergency shelter. That mattered. Lena stopped outside 418. I drove her here once, she said. She carried 2 boxes upstairs. She told me they were old work files. Did you ask why work files needed to be hidden from me? No. At least she did not decorate the answer. I pulled out the key. Before it reached the lock, my phone rang again. I declined the call. He called back immediately. Lena shifted away from the door, giving me space I had not requested. I answered. Where are you? Mark said. Traffic roared behind him. He was probably still circling the hotel parking lot in the truck he had borrowed to move wedding decorations. I'm handling something. That is not a location. Go back inside. Vanessa's father says you left with Lena. I pressed the key between my fingers until the teeth hurt. I did. Mark exhaled a word I could not make out. Then tell me what's happening before her family tells everyone for you. He was right. That made me resent him. I don't know enough yet. You never think you know enough. That's how she keeps getting 6 months ahead of you. Lena flinched. Not now, Mark. When? Ethan? After you apologize for ruining the wedding she abandoned? My hand went still. 8 years earlier, Mark had shouted almost the same thing in our parents' kitchen. Our father had thrown a plate against the sink after accusing our mother of embarrassing him at dinner. I had swept the pieces, while Mark demanded that someone finally say what had happened. I asked him to leave. Not our father, Mark, because he was the one making the scene louder. I'll call you when I know something, I said. Don't disappear just because she gave everyone a version of you. That hurts. I ended the call. The washing machine stopped. Pipes clicked behind the wall. Lena did not pretend she had not heard. He knows you, she said. He knows how to make everything sound like a fight. Maybe he knows you only listen when it does. I turned the key. It slid in, but the lock would not move. Wrong key, or changed lock. My phone was already in my hand before I understood what I intended to do. Vanessa's warning remained above the empty reply field. I typed beneath it, I'm not following you. I only need to understand what happened. Tell me you're safe, and I'll go back to the hotel. The words came easily. They always did. Make the request smaller. Promise not to be difficult. Offer retreat before the other person demands it. Lena read the message over my shoulder. If you send that, she'll know exactly where to put you. She already knows. Then stop standing there. I turned on her. You lied to me for 5 months. Yes. No excuse. No softening. The admission left me with nowhere to place the anger except where it belonged. You don't get to tell me how to respond. You're right. She stepped back until her shoulders touched the opposite wall. But you asked me what she expects. This is it. She expects you to promise you won't cause trouble before you even know what she did. My thumb remained above send. Vanessa had called that quality patience when we met. Later, she called it steadiness. During our last year together, she had started calling it pressure. If I waited at dinner because she was late, I was keeping score. If I asked whether she wanted me to pick her up, I was tracking her. If I paid a bill she had forgotten, I was proving she could not manage without me. Each accusation had sounded close enough to a real flaw that I examined it instead of examining her. I deleted the message, not because Lena told me to, because I was tired of offering surrender as proof of love. The key remained trapped halfway inside the lock. I pulled it out and examined the tag. There was a second, smaller key taped beneath the plastic label. Lena crossed the hall but stopped an arm's length away. I didn't see that. Neither did she, apparently. The smaller key entered smoothly. Before I turned it, the door across the hall opened. An elderly woman stood there holding a canvas grocery bag. Her eyes moved from my suit to Lena's green dress, then to the key. You're not Miss Hale, she said. I'm Ethan Mercer. Recognition reached her face before courtesy could hide it. Her fiancé, not husband. The word had already expired. Did you see Vanessa today? The woman tightened her grip on the bag. She came early. Left about 15 minutes ago with a man. Lena's head lifted. What man? Tall, dark coat. He carried 2 boxes to the car. The dark sedan. Did she look frightened? The woman studied me more carefully. She looked angry. Her door began to close. Wait, Lena said. Did they take everything? The woman paused behind the narrowing gap. No. They argued about a locked cabinet. He said they didn't have time. The latch clicked. Lena and I faced apartment 418. The phone buzzed against my palm. Claire had sent a photograph from the ballroom. Vanessa's father stood beneath the flower arch with his hand on my mother's shoulder. Guests crowded around them. Under the photograph, Claire had written, "If you have nothing to hide, come back and explain." My body turned toward the elevator before I made a decision. Going back felt responsible. Familiar. Almost good. The key remained in the lock behind me. Lena did not block my path. That made stopping harder. I read Claire's message once more, then placed the phone face down on the carpet. If I go back now, I said, I'll spend the afternoon proving I'm not the man Vanessa described. Lena waited. And if you stay? I rotated the key until the mechanism caught. The deadbolt withdrew with a heavy metallic snap. I find out why she needed everyone to believe I was. The apartment smelled of lemon cleaner and fresh paint. Not fear, not panic. Preparation. Sunlight crossed an empty living room and stopped at 4 pale rectangles on the floor where furniture had stood. A lamp remained in one corner without a shade. 2 wine glasses rested in the sink. The refrigerator hummed behind a row of open cabinets. Vanessa had not hidden here for one desperate afternoon. She had lived here. Lena entered after me and closed the door without touching the deadbolt. "Don't move anything yet," she said. "You mean anything else?" Her gaze went to the clean shelves. "Yes." I photographed the entrance, the living room, and the bare hooks by the door. My hands knew what to do when my mind did not. At work, we documented every room before demolition. Walls lied less when you recorded them before someone opened them. The first bedroom held a stripped mattress and 3 empty hangers. The second had been used as an office. A desk faced the window. Its drawers had been pulled out and left on the floor. Paper clips and torn envelopes marked the places where someone had searched in a hurry. The locked cabinet, the neighbor mentioned, stood beneath a bookcase. Steel. 2 drawers. Bolted to the wall. The upper lock had fresh scratches around it. "That wasn't here when I came before," Lena said. I crouched beside it. "Which time?" "5 months ago." I waited for more. None came. Pushing her now would only repeat the argument in the hallway. Her part in this had not disappeared, but neither had the cabinet. I checked the desk. One drawer still contained a utility bill in Vanessa's name. Service had started 23 weeks earlier. Beneath it lay a receipt from a storage company and a handwritten inventory number. Lena photographed both. "Send those to me," I said. "I will. Now." She did it without protest. My phone received the images while we stood 3 feet apart. Trust, reduced to a delivery confirmation. Inside the closet, a cardboard box had escaped the rushed removal because it was wedged behind a folding chair. I pulled it into the light. Our return address was printed on the shipping label. The box contained wedding gifts, not unopened gifts from early arrivals, things I had given Vanessa over 3 years. A leather travel case, a silver picture frame, the watch she wore when I proposed. Each item carried a small adhesive label with a price. The frame was empty. The photograph that belonged inside showed us in front of the house on closing day, both holding the same brass key between us. Vanessa had laughed because I could not get the front door open. The photograph lay face down beneath the watch. I turned it over, then placed it back exactly as I had found it. Lena lowered her phone. "Ethan, keep taking pictures." She raised it again. At the bottom of the box was a printed email from an online resale company. The account name was V. Cole. The pickup address was this apartment. "Cole?" Lena said. "Do you know the name?" Her delay answered before she did. "Adrian Cole worked with Vanessa 2 years ago." "Worked with her how?" "Consulting. Financial compliance. I think." "You think." She stopped mentioning him. I photographed the email myself. The cabinet key was not in the desk. We checked the kitchen drawers, the closet shelf, and the underside of the mattress. Nothing. Then Lena picked up the shadeless lamp. A strip of blue painter's tape covered the base. Under it was a narrow key. "She used to hide spare keys under lamps in college," Lena said. The familiarity in her voice landed badly. I took the key without thanking her. The upper drawer opened first. Inside were 6 folders arranged by month. The top folder carried the name Mercer Design and Restoration. My company logo appeared on the first page. Below it was an application for a revolving line of credit worth $250,000. The form listed my business address, tax identification number, annual revenue, and the names of all 6 employees. At the bottom was my signature. It leaned too far to the right. Vanessa had watched me sign thousands of checks, contracts, birthday cards, and delivery forms. She had copied the shape, but not the hesitation I always made before the final stroke. "This is what I saw this morning," Lena said. "How much did you read?" "Only the first page." Then I heard Vanessa outside. I turned toward her. "Vanessa was here?" She came through the stairwell. I put the paper back and left through the service door. "You told me she would realize you found it because you missed her call." "She didn't see me leave." "That wasn't my question." Lena held my stare. I lied about why we had 20 minutes. The admission made the office feel smaller. "Why?" "Because if I told you Vanessa was already coming here, you might have called her. You made that decision for me." "Yes." She did not ask to be forgiven. That helped less than it should have. I returned to the documents. The application included 3 months of altered bank statements. A board authorization named Vanessa as financial administrator, although my company had no board and Vanessa had never been employed by it. The witness signature belonged to Adrian Cole. This could close my company, I said. Lena set her phone on the desk and began photographing each page from directly above. Then we preserve everything. We? Her hand stopped. You're right. You decide. I slid the folder away from her. The lower drawer contained a prepaid phone, a passport envelope, and a stack of unopened bank correspondence. I put on a pair of disposable gloves from my work bag before lifting the phone. It powered on, without a passcode. There were no contacts, only numbers. Most message threads had been deleted. One remained. The final message had been sent that morning. Car at 1:10. Boxes first. If he reacts in the group, save screenshots. The reply came from a number ending in 4,418. He'll react. Men like him always need the last word. I checked the time. Vanessa had posted her accusation at 1:14. She had not written the message because I followed her. She had scheduled my reaction before giving me anything to react to. Lena read over my shoulder. I'm sorry. Don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. I placed the phone on the desk. Not while you're still deciding which parts to tell me. She stepped away. The prepaid phone rang. Neither of us moved. The screen displayed only a number, but I recognized the final 4 digits. I started recording with my own phone, then answered without speaking. Breathing. Traffic. Then a man's voice. Vanessa? I kept quiet. Did you get the Mercer file? The call ended. Lena wrote down the number on the back of the utility bill. Adrian? I said. I don't know. This time, the uncertainty sounded real. I opened the bank correspondence. The first letter was addressed to Vanessa at the apartment. The second named me as co-borrower on a personal credit account I had never opened. The third was a transfer confirmation. That morning, at 12:42 p.m., $86,000 had moved from the joint account Vanessa and I used for the house and wedding. Destination. An account ending in 4,418. The same 4 digits. My banking app rejected my first login attempt. Then the second. On the third, a notice appeared. Your online access has been temporarily suspended. A new email arrived before I could call the bank. Joint account balance alert. $312.47. The wedding downstairs had cost more than that every 40 minutes. Lena read the number and covered her mouth. I folded the transfer confirmation along its existing crease. Vanessa had not merely left me at the altar. She had timed the accusation so I would be too busy defending my character to notice her emptying our life. We left the documents where we found them. Moving originals from an apartment Vanessa had rented could be turned into theft before I finished explaining why they mattered. I photographed every page, recorded the cabinet, and emailed copies to an address she did not know I used for archived construction permits. The prepaid phone remained on the desk. Its call log did not. Lena and I drove back to the hotel with 93 photographs. 1 recording, and no agreement about what to do with them. You need a lawyer before you show anyone the credit application, she said. My family is downstairs being told I'm dangerous. That doesn't make the ballroom a courtroom. No. It makes it the place where the verdict is being delivered without me. She tightened her grip on the wheel. Neither of us mentioned the $86,000. Some numbers were too large to repeat before they became real. The hotel entrance had changed while we were gone. The welcome sign bearing our names had been removed, leaving 2 brass stands beside the doors. A florist loaded white arrangements into a van. Guests stood in small groups beneath the portico, watching our car approach. Phones rose before Lena parked. Stay here, I said. Ethan, if they see us walk in together... Vanessa gets the photograph she wanted. Lena turned off the engine. And if I stay here... Her version goes unanswered. Can you answer without telling them about the apartment? She did not respond. That was the trap. If Lena defended me, she had to explain why she knew Vanessa's accusation had been prepared. That meant admitting she had helped maintain a hidden apartment for 5 months. Vanessa had made the truth look like evidence of an affair before Lena ever chose to tell it. I opened the door. Give me 5 minutes. The lobby fell quiet as I entered. The event manager stood beside the ballroom doors with Vanessa's parents. Mark was near the reception desk. Claire sat on a luggage bench with my mother, both still wearing the clothes they had chosen for family photographs. At least 30 guests remained. Vanessa's father, Richard Hale, crossed the marble floor. Where is my daughter? I don't know. You left after she asked you not to follow her. I didn't follow Vanessa. Richard glanced through the glass doors at Lena's car. You disappeared with her best friend. Every head in the lobby found the same window. Mark moved beside me. Let him speak. He has been speaking for 3 years, Vanessa's mother said. Vanessa was simply too afraid to tell us what it cost her. My mother stood. Ethan has never frightened anyone. Richard did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Controlling men rarely behave the same way in public. The word traveled farther than a shout. Controlling. A woman near the elevators lowered her phone only after realizing I had noticed it. What exactly did Vanessa say I did? I asked. Richard's jaw tightened. This is not an interrogation. Then stop presenting an accusation as an explanation. Claire rose from the bench. Ethan, don't! Not because I was wrong. Because the people around me had begun to lean away. Richard reached into his jacket and produced a folded sheet of hotel stationery. She left this in the bridal suite. He read without offering it to me. I kept telling myself Ethan only asked questions because he cared. But every answer became another question. Every plan became something I had to justify. I cannot spend my life asking permission to breathe. Someone behind me whispered, Jesus. I knew the sentence was designed to sound remembered rather than written. Vanessa had never asked my permission to travel, work late, spend money, or see friends. But proving the absence of a cage was harder than displaying one. Let me see the letter. Richard folded it again. No, it mentions me. It belongs to Vanessa. Mark stepped forward. The event manager moved between them before either man touched the other. Everyone needs to calm down, she said. The sentence landed on Mark and me. Though Richard had brought the accusation into the lobby, I felt the old reflex gather behind my teeth. I'm sorry this happened here. I'm sorry everyone is upset. I'm sorry I left. None of those statements admitted guilt. All of them would sound like they did. My lips parted. Then, the ballroom doors opened behind Richard. Inside, the flower arch remained lit above 2 empty chairs. Our families had been seated on opposite sides even after the ceremony was canceled. The ballroom had preserved the division for us. I'm not apologizing for asking what happened, I said. Claire flinched as if I had raised my voice. Richard gave a tired smile to the people around him. This is what Vanessa meant. He always has to control the terms. The lobby doors opened. Lena walked in carrying her phone and the garment bag from her car. Vanessa's mother went pale. Why do you have that dress? Lena stopped beside the brass sign stands. Vanessa told me to keep it in my car. For the reception, I said. Richard looked between us. How would you know that? Lena's fingers tightened around the hanger. Because she told me. When? Lena looked at me. She wanted to say it. I could see the decision reach her face and stop there. If she admitted Vanessa had planned a change of clothes, Richard would ask what else she had planned. If Lena mentioned the apartment, every hour of her silence would become a reason to distrust both of us. Vanessa's mother stepped closer. Were you helping her leave? I didn't understand what I was helping her do. The answer was true. It also sounded rehearsed. Richard turned toward the remaining guests. My daughter confides that she feels unsafe, and within an hour her fiancé returns with the friend who knew her plans. That is not what happened, Lena said. Then tell us what happened. Her mouth opened. No words came. A guest near the ballroom murmured, They left together. Another answered, Vanessa must have known. The accusation changed shape around us. I was no longer only controlling. Lena was no longer only silent. We had become an explanation for each other. Mark took the garment bag from Lena and placed it across the reception desk. There's evidence Vanessa planned this, he said. Richard faced me. What evidence? I thought of the forged signature, the bank transfer, and the message instructing someone to save screenshots of my reaction. Show them. Make them understand. That urge was another version of the same mistake. Believing the right explanation could force a hostile room to become fair. Evidence my lawyer will review, I said. Richard nodded slowly. No, a boundary. The event manager asked the guests to collect their belongings. Few moved. Claire approached me while everyone watched. Did you go somewhere Vanessa asked you not to go? I chose each word carefully. I went to a place connected to financial documents bearing my name. With Lena? Yes. Did she know about it before today? Lena stood 10 feet away, motionless. I could protect her with a lie. The impulse arrived so naturally that I hated it. Yes, I said. Claire's face closed. Then I don't know what's true. Neither do I. That's why I'm trying to find out. She shook her head. No. Claire, Please don't come to my apartment tonight. The request was quiet enough to feel private, but everyone heard it. My sister stepped back toward Vanessa's parents. Not beside them. Not beside me. The distance itself became the wound. My phone chimed in my pocket. An email from Caldwell Hotels, the largest client my company had signed that year. We have become aware of serious personal allegations involving your conduct. Effective immediately, all active work orders are suspended pending review. 6 employees, 3 renovation sites. One message from a woman who had emptied our account before accusing me of controlling money. Richard watched me read it. Is something wrong? I locked the screen. Something just became real. The diner had 9 stools, 6 booths, and one waitress who did not ask why I was wearing a tuxedo at midnight. Lena chose the booth farthest from the windows. I sat across from her and placed my phone between the sugar dispenser and a bottle of hot sauce. Caldwell Hotels had not replied to my email. Neither had Claire. Mark had sent 3 messages, each shorter than the last. Call me. Where are you? Please. I turned the phone face down. The waitress brought coffee without asking. Lena ordered toast. I said I was not hungry. He'll want food later, she told the waitress. Don't do that. Lena removed her hands from the menu. Do what? Decide what I'll need. The words struck both of us, harder than they should have. You're right, she said. No defense. Again. The waitress returned with 2 mugs and a small metal pitcher. When I reached for the coffee, blood marked the white handle. A cut crossed the base of my thumb. I must have caught it on the cabinet or the key. The day held too many sharp objects to know which one had cut me. Lena pulled a paper napkin from the dispenser. May I? The question stopped me. I gave her my hand. She pressed the napkin against the cut, then asked the waitress for a first aid kit. Her touch was careful without pretending it could solve anything. When the waitress returned, Lena cleaned the wound and wrapped a narrow bandage around my palm. Too tight? She asked. No. Tell me if it is. I watched her secure the tape. At the hotel, everyone had demanded explanations. Lena was the first person that day to ask permission before touching what hurt. That did not make her innocent. She released my hand. I signed the lease application, she said. The coffee machine hissed behind the counter. I waited. Vanessa said the building required a local reference. She told me she was considering leaving you, but she wasn't ready for anyone to know. So you helped her prepare. Yes, 5 months ago. The application was 6 months ago. I drove her there 5 months ago. The correction was small and devastating. You knew before we booked the venue. Lena looked down at the untouched coffee. Yes. You stood beside her while we toured ballrooms. Yes. You helped her choose the date. Her throat moved before the answer came. Yes. The waitress placed toast between us. Neither of us reached for it. What did Vanessa tell you I had done? She said you checked her location. We shared locations after her car broke down. I know that now. What else? She said you questioned every purchase. I asked about $12,000 missing from the house account. Lena closed her eyes briefly. She told me it was renovation money you had moved without asking. And you believed her. I wanted to. That answer was different. I leaned back. Why? Lena folded the paper sleeve from her straw into smaller and smaller squares. Because Vanessa had been my best friend since college. Because she knew every ugly thing about my life and never used any of it against me. Because admitting she was lying meant admitting I had helped her. That explains why you stayed quiet later. It doesn't explain why you wanted her version to be true. The straw wrapper tore between her fingers. You want the part that makes me worse. I want the part you keep deciding I can't handle. She set the pieces on the table. I was jealous of you. The kitchen noise almost covered the confession. Of me? Of what she gave you? I said nothing. Vanessa called you when something broke. When she needed, money moved, a ride, a contractor, an answer. She called me when she wanted someone to agree with her. After you got engaged, I became the person she complained to about the life she had chosen with you. That sounds like jealousy of her. It was both. Lena met my eyes. Part of me liked hearing that you weren't as steady as everyone thought. It made me feel less replaceable. So, when her stories stopped matching what I saw, I didn't challenge them. I told myself supporting a friend meant believing her. You let her turn me into someone useful to hate. Yes, the words stayed between us. No excuse followed it. I picked up the coffee but set it down before drinking. When did you know? Not suspect. No. Lena reached into her bag and removed a folded printout. 3 weeks ago. It was an email chain between Vanessa and Lena. The first message asked Lena to confirm that Vanessa had spent a particular Friday night at her apartment. Lena's reply read, "Of course. If Ethan asks, I'll tell him you were with me." Below it, Vanessa had forwarded the confirmation to someone named A. Cole. Perfect. Now the hotel charge can't be tied to me. I read the 3 lines twice. You covered for her. Once. Once is enough. I know. Did I ask where she was that night? No. The answer tightened around my chest. Vanessa had built an alibi against a question I had never asked, then kept Lena's agreement as proof that I would have asked it. Why didn't you tell me 3 weeks ago? I confronted her. She cried. She said Adrian was helping her get out safely, and that the hotel charge was for a meeting with a lawyer. And you believe that too? For about an hour. Lena pushed the email toward me. Then I searched Adrian's name and learned his compliance firm had closed after an investigation. But you didn't. I was afraid she would disappear before I understood what she was doing. And part of you still wanted to protect her. Yes. There it was, the answer that cost her something. I photographed the email and sent it to the archive address. You don't get credit for telling me now. I'm not asking for it. You gave me the key. Only when her plan stopped making sense to you. Not when lying hurt me. When it became dangerous for you to keep helping. Lena absorbed the sentence without looking away. That's fair. It isn't fair. It's accurate. Her eyes filled, but she did not lower them. The anger in me shifted, not gone, not softened, only no longer directionless. The waitress returned and slid a plate in front of me. Eggs, toast, potatoes. She didn't order for you, the woman said. I did. You look terrible. For a moment, neither Lena nor I spoke. Then a laugh escaped me. It was brief and wrong for the night. Lena laughed too. The sound loosened something between us. I tore a piece of toast. Lena reached for the coffee pitcher at the same time. Our fingers touched above the table. Neither of us moved immediately. Her face was closer than I expected. A pin had come loose from her hair. Mascara shadowed the skin beneath her eyes. She looked exhausted, frightened, and more honest than she had in the bridal suite. Wanting her in that moment would have been easy. Trusting the wanting would have been another mistake. Lena withdrew her hand. If anything ever happens between us, it can't start in the wreckage she made. I held the warm handle of the pitcher. Nothing is happening. I know. Do you? She nodded, though it hurt her. I won't be the place you hide from what Vanessa did. And I won't use helping you now to erase what I helped her do. The boundary did not reject me. It refused to turn pain into permission. I poured my own coffee. I don't forgive you. You shouldn't. Not tonight. Lena pushed the email fully across the table. On the back, she had written a storage unit address and an access code. Vanessa asked me to keep this in case she ever needed somewhere to move the apartment boxes. When did she give it to you? Yesterday. The code had been changed by hand beneath the original number. Beside it was a pickup time, scheduled for 9 the next morning. Lena wrapped both hands around her mug. Whatever they couldn't take from the apartment, she said. They're moving at 9. At 6:15 the next morning, a lawyer told me not to enter the storage unit. Her name was Miriam Shaw. Mark found her through a contractor who had survived a partnership dispute involving forged invoices and a forklift set on fire. Miriam listened, without interrupting, while I explained the wedding, the apartment, the credit application, the prepaid phone, and the transfer. She stopped me only when I mentioned that Lena and I had opened the cabinet. Did you remove anything? No. Did you photograph it? Everything. Good. Do not go back. We sat in my office above the workshop. The building smelled of sawdust and the burnt coffee Mark had made before leaving to collect my laptop from the house. Lena waited downstairs. I had not invited her into the meeting. Miriam reviewed 3 photographs, then set my phone beside her legal pad. The storage code is useful, she said. Using it yourself would not be. They're moving the boxes at 9. Then I'll contact the facility and request that it preserve access logs and camera footage. If there is evidence of financial fraud, we involve the bank and the police. You do not chase a truck through a parking lot in yesterday's tuxedo. I looked down. I was still wearing the shirt. The jacket hung over a filing cabinet. A streak of dust crossed one cuff. Can the bank reverse the transfer? Maybe. But your immediate problem is larger than $86,000. She tapped the forged credit application. If this was submitted, Your company may have a debt you do not know about. If it was only prepared, someone still had your tax information, revenue records, and employee details. 6 names appeared on the application. 6 people arriving for work in 45 minutes. What do I tell them? The truth you can verify. Your personal dispute may affect the company. Accounts are being reviewed. No one should release records or speak to outside callers without authorization. They'll think I did something. Some might. Miriam capped her pen. You can protect your reputation later. Protect their paychecks first. The sentence left no room for the version of goodness I preferred, the kind where everyone remained comfortable with me. I called the bank's fraud department. 40 minutes passed between identity checks, transfers, and holds. My business accounts were temporarily restricted while the bank reviewed whether the credit application had been submitted using stolen credentials. Payroll was due Friday. The available operating balance would cover it once. After that, nothing. Miriam wrote each case number on her pad. I wrote them on the back of a discarded floor plan because my hands needed a task. At 7:12, Mark entered, carrying a duffel bag, and my laptop. Vanessa's father was at the house, he said. Miriam raised her head. Inside? On the porch. He said Vanessa had authorized him to collect her belongings. Did you let him? Mark gave her a look. No. He placed the duffel beside my desk. Your mother wants you at her place. I can't. You can. Both were true. Our mother would lower the blinds, make soup, and ask me not to discuss Vanessa until everyone had calmed down. By evening, I would be apologizing for upsetting her while my company accounts remained frozen. I'm staying here. Mark studied me, then nodded. It was the first disagreement between us that did not become a fight. The workshop door opened downstairs. Voices arrived with the scrape of boots and toolboxes. My employees. I changed in the restroom, but the only clean shirt Mark had packed was one Vanessa gave me for my birthday. At 7:30, I gathered everyone around the cutting table. Owen still carried his motorcycle helmet. Priya had a roll of drawings beneath one arm. Luis, Ben, Naomi, and Greg stood among stacks of oak flooring meant for the Caldwell sites. No one mentioned the wedding. That kindness nearly made the words harder. Caldwell suspended our work orders last night, I said. There may also have been unauthorized use of company information in a credit application. Owen set down his helmet. Are the accounts safe? They're restricted while the bank investigates. Can we still get paid? Naomi asked. There it was. The question beneath every other question. This week, yes. After that, I'm working on it. No promises shaped to make the morning easier. Priya placed the drawings on the table. What do you need us to do? Save every project record. Don't delete messages. Luis shifted his weight. Did you sign the application? The workshop became very still. No, he nodded once. Not belief, not doubt, only receipt of the answer. It had to be enough. When the meeting ended, Lena stood beside the office stairs holding 2 paper cups. She had changed into jeans and a black sweater. The green dress was folded over her arm, inside a clear garment bag. I brought coffee, she said. Thank you. She handed me one without telling me to drink it. You can stay at my place, she said. I have a spare room. The offer hung between us with all the things it could become to anyone watching. No, I mean, because Richard is at your house. I know what you mean. Then why sleep here? Because if I stay with you tonight, Vanessa's lie gets a photograph. And because I don't know whether I'm reaching for you or reaching for somewhere that doesn't feel like my life. Lena lowered her coffee. That's fair. It's more than that. I set my cup on the cutting table. I'm not leaving Vanessa because you gave me a key. I'm leaving because she used my name, took our money, and built an accusation around the reaction she expected from me. Lena's expression tightened, but she did not step closer. And if there is ever anything between us, it cannot begin while I still need you to prove I wasn't wrong about her. Then it doesn't begin now. The answer hurt. That was how I knew the boundary was real. At 8:47, Miriam called. The storage facility had frozen access to Vanessa's unit pending review of the fraud report. Its manager had also preserved footage from the loading area. There's something else, Miriam said. The apartment building sent the entrance video you requested. My laptop was opened before she finished. The file showed Vanessa entering at 12:51 p.m. in a gray coat. At 1:06, Adrian Cole followed her. At 1:31, they carried 2 boxes to the dark sedan. Then Vanessa returned alone at 1:38. She stood beneath the lobby camera and called someone. There was no sound, but her face was clear. She was smiling. At 1:40, the smile vanished. Vanessa checked the stairwell, hurried back outside, then returned with Adrian. They entered the elevator and emerged 4 minutes later without another box. Miriam paused the video. What happened at 1:40? I checked the timeline on my phone. At 1:39, Lena had missed Vanessa's scheduled call. Vanessa had realized the key was gone. Not after we confronted her. Not after the bank froze anything. The moment one small part of her plan stopped obeying her. On screen, Vanessa stabbed the elevator button 3 times before the doors opened. Her calm had lasted exactly as long as her control. By noon, Vanessa had given the story a photograph. It showed Lena and me leaving the hotel through the loading entrance. My hand was on the passenger door of her car. Lena's green dress caught the light. From a distance, we looked less like two people chasing evidence than two people escaping together. Vanessa posted it with a statement. I did not want to share more, but Ethan's decision to leave our wedding with my closest friend has forced me to protect myself. I now understand that their relationship may have begun before yesterday. Lena helped arrange the private apartment Ethan later entered without my permission. I ask everyone to respect my safety while I determine what else was hidden from me. The photograph reached my employees before I finished reading the second sentence. Owen carried his phone upstairs and placed it on my desk. People are tagging the company. Below Vanessa's statement, strangers had found our business page. Would you let this man into your home? Check on the women who work for him. Controlling contractor caught with bride's best friend. The words no longer belong to 84 wedding guests. They belong to anyone with a screen and 10 seconds of confidence. Miriam called before I could open the comments. Do not respond publicly. She accused Lena and me of having an affair, and every angry sentence you post will become material for her claim. So she gets to say anything. For today, yes. The answer was honest enough to feel cruel. Miriam emailed a formal notice from the bank. The forged application had been submitted 9 days earlier. $250,000 had been approved, and $75,000 had already been drawn. The money had not entered any company account I controlled. Until the fraud review concluded, the bank would treat Mercer Design and Restoration as responsible for the balance. Payroll? I asked. Still Friday. After that, assume every dollar is contested. Downstairs, a power saw started and stopped after 2 seconds. No one had work that required cutting. They were finding reasons to move. Lena arrived carrying a folder and stopped when she saw Vanessa's post on my monitor. Her face drained. The lease application, she said. She named you before anyone else could. Lena opened the folder. Inside was a copy of the apartment lease bearing her signature as emergency contact and local reference. Miriam asked me to bring this. I read the page. Lena Ortiz. Relationship to tenant. Friend. Her handwriting appeared beneath Vanessa's. Is there anything else with your name on it? I don't think so. That isn't an answer. She took the hit without defending herself. There could be emails, texts. I deleted some messages from Vanessa months ago because they were personal. Personal to whom? To her. Or damaging to you. Lena closed the folder. Both. The word found every weak place left from the diner. You told me you gave me everything. I gave you everything I still had. That is not the same thing. No. She reached for her phone. I'll give Miriam access to my backups and accounts. Are there backups? I don't know. You keep bringing me uncertainty after Vanessa has already turned it into certainty for everyone else. Lena's jaw tightened. What do you want me to say? Something I don't have to discover in stages. I cannot recover messages by wanting them back. Her voice rose for the first time. Priya appeared at the office door, then stopped. Sorry, she said. There's someone downstairs asking for Ethan. The man waiting beside the cutting table wore a charcoal suit and carried a padded envelope. Ethan Mercer. Yes. He handed me the envelope. You've been served. Every employee heard him. The petition requested a temporary protective order. Vanessa claimed I had ignored her request for distance, entered her private apartment, removed digital information, and used Lena to track her movements. The hearing was scheduled for Monday. Attached to the petition was Lena's signed lease page. Vanessa had built a legal trap from facts that were individually true. I had gone to the apartment. Lena had known where it was. We had copied information from the prepaid phone. The lie lived in the order she arranged those truths. Luis took off his safety glasses. Do we need to go home? No, I said. He glanced at the papers. Are police coming here? I don't know. The answer moved through the workshop more efficiently than reassurance would have. Naomi collected her bag. My daughter's school has our office listed for emergencies. I need to change it until this is settled. She spoke gently. That made the departure worse. I understand. She left without looking at Lena. At 1:15, Caldwell terminated the contract instead of suspending it. At 1:23, a supplier reduced our credit limit. At 1:40, Mark sent me a screenshot from a group chat with people we had known since high school. Vanessa had always said Ethan and Lena were too close. One of my oldest friends had replied, honestly, this explains the wedding. I called him. He rejected the call. By 2, Miriam had moved our meeting to a conference room at her office. She placed Vanessa's petition on one side of the table and the fraud file on the other. These are now connected, she said. Her attorney will argue that your financial allegations are retaliation. The transfer happened before her post. Chronology matters in court. It does not matter online. Lena sat at the far end of the table, no longer beside me. Miriam turned to her. I need every account, device, and backup you have used in 6 months. You'll have them. And if something else exists that makes you look bad, tell me before Vanessa does. Lena pressed her palms against the table. I covered for her once. I signed the lease. I deleted messages because I was ashamed of how long I believed her. I don't know what can be recovered. Miriam did not soften. Then assume all of it can. My phone lay beside the petition. Vanessa's contact remained open. One message could change the temperature of the day. I'm sorry I went to the apartment. I won't contact you again. Please withdraw the order and leave my company out of this. I wrote it slowly. The apology was technically limited. Strategic. Harmless. It also gave Vanessa exactly what she needed. My thumb hovered above send. Lena noticed but remained in her chair. Aren't you going to stop me? No. You stopped me yesterday. Yesterday, I was still deciding for you. She slid the lease copy toward Miriam. If you send it, it has to be your mistake. I read my apology again. It sounded reasonable. That was always how surrender introduced itself. I erased the message. Miriam's assistant entered with a small evidence bag. The apartment manager recovered this from the cabinet after police secured the unit. Inside was a memory card from the prepaid phone. Was the phone copied? Miriam asked. Not by us, Lena said. Ethan photographed the visible thread and recorded the call. We left the device there. Miriam placed the bag in her locked case. Good. No one discusses it outside this office. At 3:17, my phone received a message from Vanessa. Who copied the phone? I read it once, then handed it to Miriam. Vanessa had not been told about the memory card. She had not been told we found the phone. And she had just asked the one question an innocent person would not know to ask. The hearing lasted 11 minutes before Vanessa changed her story. We met in a conference room at the county courthouse on Monday morning because the judge wanted both sides to review the emergency petition before entering the courtroom. Miriam sat beside me. Vanessa faced us across the table with her attorney and Richard. Lena waited in another room, under a witness instruction. She had not spoken to me since Friday. On the table were the protective order petition, the bank's fraud report, the apartment access logs, and a sealed copy of the prepaid phone's memory card. Vanessa wore a navy suit. I had bought her for a promotion dinner. She looked rested, controlled. Her left hand remained bare. Her attorney began. Miss Hale is willing to resolve this without testimony. Mr. Mercer agrees to no contact, withdraws his allegations of financial misconduct, and confirms that he entered her apartment without invitation. In return, Miss Hale will not seek an extended order. Miriam slid the proposal toward me. The paragraph concerning the company was only 2 lines long. I would acknowledge that Vanessa had reasonable access to our shared financial information and that any disputed transactions arose from wedding and household expenses. The forged business loan would become a misunderstanding. The missing money would become a disagreement. Vanessa's accusation would remain the only story with a clean ending. No, I said. Richard leaned forward. Think carefully. Your employees are already suffering. Because money was taken in my company's name, Vanessa's attorney interrupted. That is precisely the retaliatory allegation we are trying to contain. Contain, I repeated. Vanessa finally spoke. Ethan, you always do this. Her voice carried the same tired patience she had used in the hotel message. Do what? Turn a relationship into paperwork, dates, receipts, screenshots. You cannot accept that I left, so you are building a case where you get to be right. For 3 years, that tone had made me search myself before answering her. This time, I left the search unfinished. You filed a legal petition, I said. The late arrival of her smile was almost invisible. You see? Every sentence becomes an argument. No, that one was an answer. Miriam placed the transfer confirmation on the table. Vanessa's attorney objected to discussing it outside the fraud investigation. I raised my hand before Miriam responded. I'll speak for myself. Miriam leaned back. The choice frightened me more than Vanessa did. You told everyone you left because I monitored where you went, I said, but the apartment lease began 6 months before the wedding. You prepared a departure, an accusation, and a financial transfer while continuing to plan the ceremony. Vanessa looked toward Richard rather than at me. I needed time to leave safely. Then why apply for credit in my company's name? I didn't. Why did Adrian Cole witness the authorization? Her fingers pressed together. I don't know what Adrian signed. The answer arrived too quickly. Miriam opened the bank report. The authorization has not been shown to Miss Hale or her counsel. Vanessa's attorney turned toward her. How did you know Mr. Cole signed something? Vanessa recovered. Ethan has been posting accusations through friends. No one posted Adrian's name, I said. Richard shifted beside her. Vanessa folded her hands again. Lena knew about the apartment. She signed the lease. If documents were planted there, ask her. There it was. The turn she had prepared from the beginning. Lena entered only after Miriam asked the clerk to bring her in. She took the chair at the end of the table, apart from both sides. Vanessa did not greet her. Miriam asked 3 questions. Did you sign the lease as a reference? Yes. Did you tell Ethan about the apartment before the wedding day? No. Did you ever agree to lie about Vanessa's location? Lena's face tightened. Once, 3 weeks before the wedding. Richard whispered something under his breath. Vanessa's attorney studied Lena as though she had just become useful. Lena continued before anyone asked. I believed Vanessa longer than I should have. I deleted messages because I was ashamed. I gave my devices and account access to both investigators. I am not asking anyone to trust me without checking. Vanessa's composure shifted by a fraction. You were jealous, she said. Lena did not deny it. Yes, you wanted Ethan. The accusation reached for the easiest shape available. Lena kept her hands flat on the table. What I wanted does not change what you did. She did not look at me. She did not defend our relationship because there was no relationship to defend. Vanessa lost the reaction she expected and turned back to me. She gave you the key because she wanted to replace me. The brass key rested inside an evidence envelope near Miriam's file. I could have answered with anger. Instead, I placed Vanessa's wedding message beside the prepaid phone transcript. At 1:10, someone texted that I would react and instructed you to save screenshots. At 1:14, you posted that you were afraid of what I would do. You described my reaction before I had one. Vanessa's attorney reached for the transcript. Where did this come from? The phone recovered from the apartment, Miriam said. Vanessa stared at the document. That is not the original copy. No one moved. Her attorney's hand stopped above the paper. Miriam spoke slowly. We did not say there was a copy. Vanessa's eyes moved to the sealed memory card. You copied the phone. Who told you the phone had been copied? I asked. Lena must have. Lena remained at the end of the table. I didn't know there was a memory card until Friday. You always take his side, Vanessa snapped. The volume of her voice surprised even Richard. You handed him everything because you've been waiting for this.
Waiting for what? Lena asked. For him to need you. The word struck close enough to Lena's admitted flaw to hurt. She accepted the blow without returning one. Maybe part of me was, she said. That still does not make his signature yours. Vanessa shoved back from the table. Her chair struck the wall. He would have signed it eventually. The sentence entered the room before she could pull it back. Her attorney closed his eyes. Miriam did not speak. Neither did I. Vanessa looked from face to face, searching for someone willing to repair what she had said. Richard reached for her arm. She pulled away. You handled every bill, she said to me. You wanted me dependent on you. I was only taking what I would have had if you hadn't made me ask for everything. You had access to our accounts. Access is not control. You transferred $86,000 because I knew you would freeze me out. Before or after you applied for the loan, Her attorney told her not to answer. Vanessa did anyway. The loan was Adrian's idea. The admission landed without drama. No one needed to raise a voice around it. Richard released her arm. That was the first moment she looked frightened. Not of me. Of a room that had stopped following her version. Vanessa turned toward the clerk. He came into my apartment. Yes, I said. Everyone faced me. I could have denied the one fact that still made me look wrong. I could have hidden behind Lena, the key or urgency. I entered after Lena gave me the key. I documented what I found. I should have called a lawyer first. That was my mistake. Vanessa seized on it. There, he admitted it. I did. Her smile returned. Then this is over. No. I placed my palm beside the unsigned settlement. Admitting my mistake does not erase yours. The smile disappeared. You didn't leave because you were afraid of me. You left because you were certain I would apologize for what you did. Vanessa stared at me. This time, I did not explain the sentence. I did not soften it for Richard. I did not check whether Lena believed it. Miriam gathered the bank report and memory card. The protective order request would go before the judge. The fraud investigation would continue. Nothing had been won cleanly. But when Vanessa's attorney pushed the settlement toward me again, I returned it unsigned. My name remained mine. 4 months later, the brass key lived in the top drawer of my workbench. Not on my keyring, not in an evidence bag, not thrown into the river, though Mark had offered twice. It rested beside spare screws, a carpenter's pencil, and the watch Vanessa had tried to sell. The police returned the watch after photographing the box from the apartment. I never wore it. I kept it because getting rid of every object connected to pain felt too much like pretending the pain had obeyed me. The fraud case remained open. The bank removed the forged debt from my company's active balance, but had not recovered all the money. Adrian accepted an agreement requiring his cooperation. Vanessa faced charges related to the loan and transfer. Her protective order request was denied, though the judge reminded me that entering the apartment had been reckless. He was right. Being right about Vanessa did not make every choice I made right. Mercer Design and Restoration survived. Survival looked less impressive than people imagined. We lost Caldwell and 2 smaller clients. I sold my truck, delayed my own salary, and spent 3 months taking repair jobs that barely covered materials. Naomi returned after the hearing but kept her daughter's emergency contact elsewhere. Luis stopped asking whether the company was safe and began asking whether Friday's deposit had cleared. I answered him honestly each time. Claire apologized in my office on a rainy Tuesday. She brought the photograph she had sent from the ballroom, printed and folded inside an envelope. I thought asking questions meant choosing your side, she said. Sometimes it does. I should have asked anyway. I accepted the apology. Accepted was not the same as erased. I still noticed when she hesitated before defending me. She still noticed when I grew quiet instead of telling her I was hurt. We were learning to leave those moments visible. Richard never apologized. My mother did, but only after explaining how frightened everyone had been. Some friends returned with careful messages. Others disappeared into the version of me they had found easier to believe. I stopped chasing them. On Thursday evenings, Lena helped at the workshop. Not because I needed rescuing. She had started bringing damaged books from her store for me to repair. Split bindings, loose covers, wooden display boxes with broken hinges. In exchange, I built new shelves for the children's section. We worked at opposite ends of the cutting table for the first 6 weeks. She gave Miriam every recovered message. Some made Vanessa look worse. Others made Lena look exactly as compromised as she had admitted. She did not ask me to interpret them kindly. Trust returned in measurements too small to announce. She arrived when she said she would. I asked questions without apologizing for them. She answered, without deciding which truth I could tolerate. One evening, a group of contractors gathered in the workshop for Owen's birthday. Someone laughed loudly behind me, and my shoulders locked before I could stop them. For half a second, I was back in the hotel lobby with 30 faces turned toward me. Lena noticed. She did not touch me. She moved my coffee away from the edge of the table so I would not knock it over, then continued her conversation. The gesture gave me time to return without making my fear the center of the evening. After everyone left, she found me sweeping beneath the workbench. "You could leave that until morning," she said. I could. I kept sweeping. She leaned against the cutting table. "Is this the part where you pretend cleaning isn't avoidance?" "No. This is the part where I admit it is, and finish anyway." Her smile came without caution. I set the broom aside. Rain tapped against the high windows. The workshop seemed larger without machines running. Lena picked up a repaired copy of The Secret Garden and tested the new hinge. "The store closes early Saturday," she said. "I remember. You remembered my schedule. Don't make it suspicious." She laughed. This time, the sound did not make me search the space for whoever might be laughing at me. "Dinner?" she asked. The invitation was ordinary. That was what made it difficult. There was no emergency to justify saying yes, no document to review, no enemy to stand against. If I went with her, it would not be because we had survived the same disaster. It would be because I wanted to know what remained when the disaster was not in the room. "Dinner," I said. "Saturday. Ask me tomorrow." Her smile softened. I just did. Then yes. I walked her to the front door. My hand paused above the lock. The house Vanessa and I had bought had been sold as part of the financial settlement. I had rented the space above the workshop and used the same entrance as the office. Lena had visited often, but she always waited for me to let her in. That evening, I opened the workbench drawer. The apartment key lay where I had left it. Beside it was a new silver key I had cut that afternoon. I picked up the silver one and held it out. Lena did not take it. "What does this open?" The question returned so cleanly that neither of us could pretend not to hear the first version inside it. "The front door." "Are you sure?" "No." Her fingers remained at her side. "That's not a reason to give it to me." "No, but it's the truth." I placed the key on the cutting table between us, instead of pressing it into her hand. "You don't have to take it tonight." Lena studied the silver shape beneath the workshop light. Then she closed my fingers around it. "Ask me tomorrow," she said. She left without the key. I stood alone beside the door, disappointed and relieved. Both feelings were allowed to be true. The next morning, the silver key remained on the table. The brass one remained in the drawer. One opened a place Vanessa had used to hide a lie. The other might someday open a home. Neither key promised what would happen after the door moved. That part still belonged to us. Some people do not destroy you by shouting. They do it by writing a version of you that everyone else can believe. And sometimes, the person who helps you survive is not the person who fixes your life. It is the person who finally says, "No, that is not what happened." If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to fight for the truth of your own life? And if you want more stories like this, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.